Hey, welcome to the Steve Davis Show. Special guest today is Nate Pino, the head Rio Rancho football coach. Recently hired this summer,
Yeah.
actually before right at the end of the school year.
Yep.
And I tell you what, congratulations. I hope it's a
It
congratulations.
is. Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you having me on and giving an opportunity to come out here and just chat.
Well, I tell you, Nate, give me a little Reader's Digest of you and how you got to where you're in this seat today.
Yeah, it's been a process. I grew up in Rio Rancho. That's the community that I grew up in. I went to Rio Rancho High School. I went to Lincoln Middle School. I mean, I grew up all the way up from elementary through. After high school, I went to the University of New Mexico. And actually, when I was in college, Wilson Holland gave me my first job at Rio Rancho High School. I went back and started coaching the JV there and worked for him for a couple years. And then, I just stayed on. I had a couple years off to finish college and actually when I went to Virginia. But other than that, I worked for Phil Lopez. I worked for Mike Worley, Dave Howes, Jerry, all the way up. And it's a program that I've spent a lot of time working in and kind of working my way up, and it's been a good process.
Well, I tell you what, you just said some names, and those are great mentors. I mean, Dave is now at the University of New Mexico, and I'm sure he's so personable. I mean, he, kind of standard at Rio Rancho, and everybody seemed, Coach Pinelli, he made that same standard stand up.
Yeah, no, I think absolutely. When you look at Dave, and Dave took over at a tough time, man. Cleveland was built. There was transition right when he came through, and he established a grittiness to our team. To be a tough football team, and also just again he built a positive culture around Rio Rancho kids. And when Jerry took over, he built on that, and again just establishing having a blue collar mentality and guys that are everyday guys that want to be around, but they're going to work. If you're going to be successful, you're going to work.
Well, I tell you, interesting. Yours is a great storyline. Okay, I mean, it intrigued me. I had Sal on, Gonzalez on my show last week, and after the show we kind of talked a little bit about you. But you were the second graduating class.
Yep.
I mean, and talk about that experience and talk about how, I mean, your start of the culture that has been built at Rio Rancho. But did you have to decide on schools? Like there's a lot of Sea Blue people, or it was a big. That was the first real Rio Rancho.
Yeah,
rivalry.
it was kind of when the schools were split. I lived in Rio Rancho, so I know at the time, Southern Rio Rancho went to Cibola, Northern Rio Rancho actually was busted Del Norte. And then when Rio Rancho High School was built,
I didn't know that.
So when Rio Rancho was built, obviously it was exciting for the city to have its first high school. There was a lot of support. It was challenging though. I mean, we didn't have all of our facilities; they were incomplete when the school opened. The stadium wasn't done. We were practicing. There really wasn't even locker rooms at the time when we first started our first summer. We were under lights and stuff, doing team meetings outdoors, and things got built as the years went. By my senior year, we had our stadium finally, and it was a foundation that was built. It was a slow process. We had to, we were young, definitely a young squad as we started going, and we took our bumps. But I think at the end of the day, it was we got better year to year, and it was a slow process, and it took a while. But we got to where we wanted to be.
So why did you get into coaching? I mean, I'm looking back.
I had a great experience, and I always grew up in athletics, playing sports, and I had great mentors. In high school, had a great experience. Coach Holland was awesome. John Morrison, who was at Rio Rancho High School, who's also the baseball coach at Santa Fe High for a while. He was my position coach. I just had a great experience, and I liked it. And when actually Larry Chavez gave him the following year after I graduated, he needed someone to help with his javelin kids, and I threw javelin in high school, and I was pretty good. So I informally went out and helped the following spring, and then Wilson offered me a job to coach football the next year, and just the camaraderie and being around sports and being around other men and just trying to build men has been something that's been cool all the way through. So.
You speak of Wilson Holland, and I tell you what, a class act. I mean, I tell you, a great ref, a great deal. But what he's done at Los Lunas, and built. I mean, now they're in 6A. They win a state champion.
Yeah,
I mean, it took a working process, but I tell you, now he's got great kids that are. He's got a son that's getting scholarships from everywhere right now, and it's just great to see.
Yeah,
when you say Wilson Holland, I get fired.
Whenever I see his kids, it's interesting because when we work together, I mean, I'm 40, but I got in young. So
I didn't think you were a day over 39.
Yeah,
so.
there we go. So he, his kids were little when I first got in, and just seeing what they've done, it's been pretty cool, and definitely great athletes, and he's done a great job in that community, and building that athletic program, and it's been pretty neat to see.
Well, I tell you, you get this job, and it's, I guess it's emotional. It's kind of an emotional situation with you because of the circumstances.
Yeah, it was kind of a whirlwind. So I applied for the job when Jerry got it. I was a finalist, and I had a great interview. I've been in the school. I know the community. Things went well. Jerry, he's just a Hall of Fame coach. From Virginia, just coming off a state championship, and he's a great coach. So he obviously got the position, and it was disappointing. But although I thought I was ready for it, it allowed me. I was also the head girls track coach at the time, so it allowed me to kind of learn the ropes of being a head coach on a smaller level, and also just to learn from him and what he had to bring to the program. And it was great working for him. He's a guy that something I learned from him is he was very good about letting his coaches coach. He wanted guys. He was never a micromanager, and he let us do our job, and I think that was important. As we got going, though, obviously he had a difficult circumstance coming out here. His wife was sick, and she was terminally ill, and that was something that he was continually dealing with the couple years that he was here. So the way it all went down, it was hard for him, and he wasn't sure if he was going to stay or not. And it was late, was it early May actually? I think he just came up one day, and after things had kind of settled, burying his wife in Virginia, and he just said, "Nate, I think I'm going to move back to Virginia." And it was kind of a shocker, and I was up, he just wanted to talk. We had a good conversation, and he said he was going to go talk to Ryan and let him know, or Dr. Kettler. And so he went and talked to him, and I went to track practice, and and things within 24 hours, things had kind of just, I was the new head football coach the next morning. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sal, we're going to go to a break, and we're going to come back, talk more about you, and talk more about Rio Rancho football.
Cool.
Turbo Threads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks. Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sports shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. Turbo Threads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for Turbo Threads.
For certified collision and body repair, visit the experts at Car Crafters. 5 locations in Albuquerque and Rio Rancho. Visit carcrafters.com.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth that's real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I've ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot. It's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
These are more than just the sound of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and the mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Hey, welcome back, Steve Davis Show. We got Nate Pino, head football coach at Rio Rancho, and I tell you, you get the job. Let's just backstep a little bit. Once Pinelli decided to quit? Did he come talk? Did he have a staff meeting? Kind of just backtrack, and then you said walk me through kind of what happened.
Yeah, like you said, we had a conversation. He went and talked to admin.
Emotional, was it pretty emotional?
It was, it's tough, and we'd had conversations before, just with everything he was dealing with, and Jerry's a hard worker. He's never wants to put a burden on anyone else, and we'd had some conversations, and Coach Martinez, who's our defensive coordinator, and myself, we'd told him we'd handle football, take care of your family, football you can always come back to, and he did, and the plan I think was initially to come back, but at the end of the day, his wife being buried in Virginia, and he had young grandkids out there as well, and I think at the end of the day, that's where he was led and drawn, and but it was emotional for sure, and the next morning, I had some conversations with administration, and Jerry actually spoke to the team and just let them know, that next morning, and it's always a shock to kids, when you're head coach.
A shock to the community.
The community in general, yeah. I mean, just I'm looking at a micro level for sure, but definitely a tough day in our locker room, and he was very well respected and liked, even in our school and our community. So it was a tough, it was definitely hard, and like I said, it was kind of crazy at the same time, and admin reached out to me the following day, and we had some conversations, and one thing led to the next, and was the next football coach.
Well, Saul Gonzalez made a great point last week, and I just looked through the history of just say Rio Rancho Public Schools. Okay, and that includes Cleveland and Rio Rancho. Loyalty is big.
Yeah.
And he made that statement, and and you're a perfect example. You did your dues, you paid you were assistant, and had other opportunities to be a head coach, and looked over whatever reasons, or maybe didn't apply or whatever. But then your time came, and how did you feel once you got all of a sudden it sunk in that you're the man at Rio Rancho football?
It was a crazy, It took a second to sink in for sure. I mean, obviously I had relationships with the kids and in the school, but my role was different, and initially you feel a lot of pressure just being that, hey man, you gotta step up and lead a whole crew. But at the same time, I was excited. I felt prepared for it. I had put in a lot of work to get to that point. So I knew the kids, and I knew the guys that I was working with, and I had all the faith in the world in them. The coaches and the staff that we had in place, they're top notch, and I knew that they had my support, and they supported me, so I knew things were going to be okay. It was just a matter of transitioning and digging in. You have to deal more. Obviously, the coaching part's almost the easy part. I've coached all my life, so dealing with kids and coaching football is nothing really different. But dealing more with administration and community and parents,
parents,
all that stuff that's added on to it, but it took a little while to transition, but something that I feel is a strength of mine is being relational and being able to build relationships with people, and I think I've been able to do that, and I've been in the community for a long time, and lots, as I got the job, just hearing appreciation and just thanks, and congratulations from people throughout the years was really cool.
Well, I tell you, one thing that's, and speak of these people, but you kept your staff.
Yeah.
A lot of times, somebody internally moves up, and there's some disgruntled coaches or whatever thought they should get the job or whatever, but that just shows your character, shows the character of the administration and also the coaching staff. But speak of some of those people, they stayed on with you and what they bring to the table.
Sure, absolutely. You start with Philip Martinez. He was the head coach at Manzano. He's got a wealth of experience.
Great experience.
Great experience, and he's a great man too. I think that's something that you can't overlook. Like, he's a great person, and right from the get-go, even when he came to Rio Rancho, we had some good conversations before he made that transition, and we have a very similar personality, and he's great. He runs an aggressive defense, and he teaches those guys character as well as in integrity as well as football. And he's definitely a key piece there, and Bob Stanley's our offensive line coach and our run game coordinator, and he's been everywhere. He's kind of the old ball coach, but he brings a wealth of experience, and we know up front that we're going to be physical, and he does a great job teaching those kids. And Steven Ramirez, he's a Rio Rancho grad. He's co-coordinating with me on the offensive side of the ball. He's a guy that graduated from Rio, and he's been coaching there for a while now. but same thing. He's kind of worked his way through the ranks and been at it for a while. And the guys that I brought in after were, I brought in a lot of Rams. We have Chris Williams as an alumni.
What a great addition!
Yeah, great. And he was here with Jerry, but keeping him on staff.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he's a Rio Rancho legend, so keeping him around was important. We hired.
You took him away from the booth, though. I mean,
I did. I'm sorry.
He got a promotion.
Yeah.
So.
He's great with the kids, though. Brings a wealth of knowledge. Luke Calzada's coaching our backs on offense, and he's a Rio Rancho alum, and Mike Santos. I mean, shoot, you can't say enough about that guy. Talk about someone that's been around and has a wealth of experience. He's coaching our D line. He does a great job for us, and those are just some of the key pieces that have been around. And there's, I mean, I could name my whole staff, but I mean, we've got a good group of men, like I said, and not just good football coaches, but good people, and I think that goes a long way.
Well, no, I think you set your system or culture or something. When you talk football, it's the culture. The culture's there.
Yep.
Okay, now it's just a new leader, which you're taking that role over, moving up the step, and getting used to. One thing, when I became a head coach, what I wasn't prepared for was the things that you talked about. Because sometimes the enjoyment of coaching is coaching the kids.
Yeah.
And then when you become the head coach, you have to let other people do that, because you're taking care of the C team, you're taking care of the JV team,
Yeah.
you're taking care of the varsity.
Yep.
You've got you got
Yeah.
a lot on your plate, and I learned that when I was at Sandia that it's amazing. You got to have
Yeah.
great assistants for your program to succeed.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think, like you said, the culture's been established. We've, from Dave's time period forward, we've been pretty successful. When you can win a couple state championships and play in a couple more, I think what we're doing works. It's a matter of, for me, it's been really, especially after COVID, I think, building relations. I want to be personable. I want to be visible. I want to be open within our, elementary schools and our mid schools, and, going to Lincoln Middle School and having a meeting there was kind of cool, because I went there. And just being able to talk about, they have this legacy wall in their gym, and just being able to talk about those kids and being part of that community. And it's important to me, and it means something to me, because this is where I grew up. And just telling those kids too, and this is something me and Sal talked about, a big part of our success at Rio Rancho is got to be keeping those kids that are Rio Rancho kids in Rio Rancho, and building those relationships from the elementary school all the way, through the high school. And I think just being able to reestablish those connections post-COVID, because it's been difficult, is important.
The head coaches impact the community, okay? And with that being said, is that, it starts with the younger generation. Yeah. I mean, and I know that I would see Dave how at all the Yaffle games.
Yeah.
I mean, he was there, and he was talking to the kids, and
Yeah.
and that culture started with him, just with the
Sure.
the youngest. And you just really have that Rio Rancho logo, wearing that from when you're 6 years old
Yep.
and up is so important.
Sure. No, absolutely. And I think like I said, I think that's reestablishing that's going to be big. And I think we've kind of made steps on that. And we had a great youth camp this summer. We had I think 140 kids, and bumped up from, I think we had like 80 the year before. So it was really good to get kids out in our stadium, and we had just gotten our brand new turf in. Our facility looks awesome, and it was fun to have those kids around. So.
Well, Nate, we're going to come back and talk about the upcoming schedule.
Yeah,
it's coming quick too.
It is. It's here. It's here, and it's exciting. So.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pie offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. or great locations, or visit us online at goldenfriedabq.com. Golden Fried Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter for the Pro Sports Network.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number one in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company.
For 50 years, Clark's Pet Emporium has been your pet's favorite stop. Fish, birds, cats, dogs, reptiles, and small animals. Clark's has built a tradition of friendly, knowledgeable service focused on affordable, quality pet care products and food. Locally owned and operated with 2 convenient locations for all your pet needs, including an extensive selection of gifts for both owners and pets. 11200 Manal Northeast or 4914 Lomas Northeast. Clark's Pet Emporium is celebrating 50 years. Thank you, Albuquerque, the Pet Supply Superstore. ClarksPet.com.
The energy landscape is limitless and ever-changing. Cleaner energy resources are crucial to New Mexico's environment. For 100 years, PNM has utilized cutting-edge technology and employed hard-working New Mexicans to ensure that we have consistent, reliable energy when we need it. For life's loudest moments, quietest moments, and every moment in between. We're dedicated to providing you with energy now and into the future. All you have to do is dream of what to do with it next.
Hey, welcome back to Steve Davis Show. We got special guest again is Nate Pino, the head football coach at Rio Rancho. It's that time. It's here. I know we've talked about getting your job and getting that now the real the fun. And I tell you what a way to start your opening game up with number 2 team rated, possibly. In my opinion, is 1, 2, 3. It's Cleveland, Rio Rancho, La Cueva, however you want to, what order you want to do it. Now the test will prove which order that goes into.
Yeah, I think we have a ton of respect for La Cueva and the staff. Coach Back does a good job, year in and year out. Developing good teams, and obviously offensively they bring back loads of talent. Armenta at quarterback and Bowie at running back are a 1-2 punch, and so I think offensively, they provide a lot of, they bring a lot of problems. Defensively, they were a little bit similar to us. They graduated a bunch. Coach Hurley does a good job. They've got a good scheme and they coach well over there. So we're expecting a challenge. But with that said, we're looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great football game. And, I know our guys are fired up for it.
Well, I tell you, the thing about, if I'm Coach Beck, and he does a great job of scouting. All you guys do a great job of scouting, but I'm sure that you've tweaked some things that he's not prepared for, and you can't wait to kind of, and I'm sure he's doing some things that he might go back into the drawing board and say, hey, they haven't seen this. And
something that's unique. Obviously, their last game of the season was against us, but we played them in the semifinals. We played them twice last year, so we've seen them a bunch here recently. So we're pretty familiar with what they do, and vice versa. And I think you try to have tweaks, but I think you also have an identity of who you are, and you gotta make that work. So.
Well, this time of year, last year you graduated some players. That's the thing about coaching. Who's going to step up? And not in a great deal. Who's going to kind of really, that really has impressed you over the last, this summer for yourself?
I think Mikey Wood, he's a receiver for us. He had a great summer. He's a big, tall, lanky kid. He's a multi-sport athlete. Plays basketball as well. He's going to do some good things for us at receiver. Noah Nelson is, we had a pretty fiery quarterback competition through the summer. He's kind of stepped up, and he's going to be the guy. He's a dual threat quarterback. He can run and he can throw it well, so we're excited to see what he can do for us. Jay Smith on the offensive line, he's our returner, returning starter from last year. He's kind of the leader of that group, a big physical kid. So we're excited about our offensive line. I think, like I said, Coach Stanley does a good job with them, and we're blessed to have hardworking kids, smart kids every year, and we're looking forward to what that group can do for us. And defensively, we've got an athletic group, man. We can run. We see those guys every day in practice, the offense and the defense, and, we're excited about what they can do. I think we got a physical defensive front, and we can run around on the back half, and, when you look at the defensive side of the ball, Chris Montoya, Bubba Montoya, he's a 2-year starter returning for us at Mike, and he's the leader of that group for sure. Sebastian Rubio has had a great summer, and we're looking forward to what he can do in the defensive backfield.
Well, I tell you, this show. First of all, this game's going to be on My 50.
Yeah.
We're going to get statewide TV.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
A lot of exposure for La Cueva and for Rio Rancho, and deservingly. And then, game starts at 7, and I just like people to know, driving out to Rio Rancho, if you're from Albuquerque, make sure you're leaving plenty of time, because that's.
Yeah, it should be a great atmosphere. I know kids around campus are excited to get there. If you do want tickets early, you can buy them in our athletic office. They're already for sale. If you're going day of, our ticket booths generally open at 5 o'clock, and those things will be ready to go.
You're playing the number 2 team. Your schedule doesn't get any easier though.
We go.
And so that's the culture that you've built every week, and that's the success, is that you can't have a letdown.
No, absolutely. I think to be the best, you got to play the best. And I think traditionally we've always had tough schedules. If you're going to take over as head coach at Rio Rancho High School, you got to expect that you're going to be playing tough schedules. You look at our district. Every year it's a battle, and a lot of that comes into preparation and being able to be focused and prepared week in and week out. I think leads a lot to that success.
Well, let's speak of let's speak a little bit about your district. I think people can disagree or with me, but it's the toughest. It's the toughest in the state.
Yeah, I don't. It'd be tough to make an argument against it. I think when you look at what Cleveland and Rio Rancho have done the last few years, and we 6 state championships.
You throw La Cueva in there.
And La Cueva in there, and Volcano Vista has been a contender. They were in the semifinals a couple years ago. They always have a wealth of talent, and same with Cibola. Cibolas, you can never look past them as well. They've always got a talented, well-coached group, and I think Coach Howe's going to do a good job there. And Trisco's, I don't honestly, we didn't see him a ton this summer, but I know
you can't let them down either, because
you've got to go, and they're a good football team. They have talent year in and year out. They've had their ups and their downs, but I think you definitely can't look past them.
Well, the thing about a Trisco, and I forgot, because I forgot that they're in your district, is what I've learned watching them is you have to go out and beat them. They're not going to beat themselves. They're very disciplined. They're very regimented. And
tough kids. And they got tough kids.
And they're tough kids, and they accept that challenge. And it's one of those games that I call them trap games, that you got to maybe have to coach harder sometimes, because you have to get your players up to play.
No, absolutely. You got to keep focused. And I think. In our district, like I said, there's no gimmies. So I think you've one little slip up could definitely cost you. So I think it's important that you focus. Like I said, the preparation's got to be 1 week at a time, and you got to focus 1 week at a time. And when you look at it, people circle Rio Rancho on their schedule, and they want. We're going to get the best of every opponent we get, but that comes with the territory. So.
Well, and like I said, that goes back to your generation.
Yeah.
You started it. You're a second graduating class, and I just want to thank you for coming on, and thanks for driving down here, and good success this weekend against.
I appreciate the time and allowing me to just share my story a little bit and talk about our community. And I know Rio Rancho football is excited, and we thank you for having us on.
All right, appreciate it.
Thanks for your time.